Guten Tag, mes amis, wie geht's? C'est moi, Dieter. Ich bin Dieter. Ça va? So Dieter's going to talk now about a touchy subject for some people. Guitar cables. Shielded, unshielded, why don't guitars use XLR cables, etc. Well, I'll tell you why. The guitar's output is unbalanced, so because the signal coming out from it is unbalanced. A balanced cable isn't going to make any difference to your sound. And people will argue about cables, and there's all cables, no matter what name is on it, is made by 2 or 3 companies in North America and Europe. Okay? So I'm going to show you some cables and what I've gathered from my experience. So I have some cables that are almost 40 years old. And the biggest problem with cables, 2 things will actually affect your tone, is have they started to oxidize inside in the connections, and how long are they? Because the longer the cable is, the more better chance you have of getting induced hum and stuff like that. So what I've decided, because I try lots of different cables, and lots of them are good. But when it comes to oxygen-free cables and silver and whatever and copper, well, the only thing that doesn't rust over time is gold. So unless you've got gold cables, the wire's gold, and the solder is gold, and the connectors are gold, and everything's gold, which would cost you a bloody fortune, you're not going to notice any difference, because the electron doesn't care if it's going through copper or gold or silver. Now, the electrons can be impeded if the copper has become oxidized, and if the silver has become oxidized. Gold doesn't oxidize under most conditions. So unless you want to spend, $100,000 on a few cables, and you want and everything's gold, forget it. Okay? So what Dieter has decided, he likes, this is a Spectraflex. Why he likes these is because I like things that you can take apart. And you can tell it's good quality cable. It was soldered nicely. Now, what you have to do, if you connect it, anywhere there's a connection, there can be problems. There can be a problem in your preamp, there can be a problem in your pots. So you got to clean all that up before you think it's your cable. And then, if there could be some oxidation on your cable, well, then you spray it with some contact cleaner. That's all you do. And if it's got a bad or a cold solder joint, you resolder it. Now, I've had these Spectraflex cables a long time, never had a problem with them. What I like about them, you can see, it looks brand new, and I've used this cable a lot. So I've got 3 or 4 Spectraflex cables, and I like them a lot because they don't get tangled. And I have used the shorter ones usually for recording, and the longer ones when I'm doing gigs. Now, because of COVID and stuff, the gigs have dried up quite a bit. But there's all kinds of good cables. There's another good cable, the Dario Market Cs. But, you can take it apart. That's what I look for. Now, coiled cable I like too, because they don't get as tangled as just a regular cable. But a coiled cable is probably 3 to 4 times as long if you stretch it out. So you will lose your signal strength. So it might give you a more mellow sound if that's what you're looking for. So that's what I use coiled cables for. Now, these are very good cables. I got, if I can find it, 30 years ago. And they're the Rodown Pro Series. And I really haven't had a problem with any of these, although one, I think, oxidized. So you have to take care of your cables. You don't want to keep them in a humid environment where they can oxidize more. So I usually keep them I actually usually keep them in baggies, and they seem to last a lot longer that way. Now this is sealed, but you know, if the cable crops out, you can always slice it with an X-Acto knife and fix it yourself. I make a lot of my own cables now because it's fun. This one was marketed by Taylor, but the cable is from the Rapco Corporation. And what I like about it is it's got a volume knob on. Now it says Taylor on it. Taylor doesn't make this. You can tell it's that company in Neumark or Neumark. It's you can tell it's made by that Swiss company, I believe. So, and you can take it apart. Now what I like about this is when you're standing up it's good, but if you're sitting down and it gets here, it becomes bloody useless because you're decreasing and increasing the volume as you move slightly your guitar. But it works good in a Fender or type guitar, a guitar where you plug it in the front. If you're sitting down, they're fine if you're standing up. So I liked it. I thought it was a bit gimmicky, but I use it for certain guitars. And then D'Addario makes these ones with the switch. Now the only thing I don't like about these, and my only knock on them, is some guitars, the post here seems a little short. So I've noticed on some of my guitars, it kind of, if you don't insert it really well, and some you can't even stick it in. So they should have made it a touch longer. Now I don't know if they fixed that problem or not, but they're nice cables, whoever makes them. Usually D'Addario labeled stuff is pretty good. And I have I think this is I had it all organized before I did this. See, this is what I hate about these cords. They always, I had these all in here neatly, and you pull one out, and they just totally get screwed up. So here's the end on that. And these ones, I think they call them their Pro Series, are very nice. But the main thing is the length, okay? And if you don't want them getting caught on things and you're performing, then a coiled cord or the I'm a big fan of the Spectraflex cloth ones because I've had them for years and I can tell you they stand up. And when you're dealing with these other cords, whether they're those hog ones, or I've got them all. I just didn't want to pull them out. I got probably 15 different cords from different manufacturers. And like I said, they're all good for some things. So, you know, if you're spending money on oxygen-free cables, and like I said, unless it's completely sealed off from oxygen, well, if they're solid gold, you don't need them sealed from oxygen. So I think that's all BS. So hope that helps. And I've found what makes your playing sound way better than your cables, as long as you have decent cables that function. You're probably better off practicing more than spending money on gimmicky cables. Yeah, that's just Dita's opinion. And yeah, Dita's not missing the disappearing belly. He's still got a ways to go, but he's at like 45 pounds in the last 28 days or something like that. And he feels much better. So that's all Dita has to say, and congrats to Canada for winning a gold medal at the World Hockey Championships, and Latvia for winning their first bronze ever, beating the United States in overtime. The United States was probably the best team there, and good for Germany too for getting their first silver medal. I think the last time they medaled was 70 years ago. have to mention hockey. I'm a Canadian. Wiedersehen.